at CFB Comox, and right now we're on board the CP-140 Aurora. It is a long-range patrol aircraft, and 3 of these planes fly out of CFB Comox. You're going to be amazed at what the gentlemen on here do. I want to introduce you first to Sergeant Dave Mcavoy. Tell us what you do on the plane.
I'm an acoustic sensor operator or an electronic sensor operator. Basically what I do, I operate all the wet sensors or the acoustic sensors on board the plane, and as well as take care of the search stores back here in what we call Ordnance. Basically, as you see, we have 3 tubes. When we're doing anti-submarine warfare, I can take one of these sonobuoys right here, as I'll demonstrate right now. We take it out, load it in, and from there's an electronic charge that ignites what we call basically a 12-gauge fuse, fires it out the bottom of the aircraft into the water, and we listen to submarines.
It has a microphone on it then?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Yeah.
This is only part of your job, though.
This is only part of it. I'll take you to my next station, the Acoustic Section.
Okay. Not very far away.
Not at all. So basically what we have here, you see some lines, you see some graphs. When the hydrophone or microphone drops into water, it can pick up the sounds that a submarine may be making. Certain sounds allow us to identify certain submarines. So every submarine makes a noise, and with these hydrophones we can listen to the noise, and it's displayed on our displays here, and I can relay the information.
But you're not only looking for submarines.
At this station right here,
That's it.
that's basically it. I'll pass you on now to our Tactical Navigator, Captain Walt Carroll.
Hello, Captain Carroll.
Hi, how are you?
Good. What do you do on board?
I'm what's called the Tactical Navigator, or TACNAV for short. You can liken my job to that of a quarterback, football quarterback. I take all the information that's provided by our various sensors on the airplane and determine how we're going to employ the airplane, where I'm going to position the airplane, and what ordnance or what weapons we're going to use against whatever prosecution we're doing. That could be anti-submarine warfare, that could be a patrol for fisheries, or working in conjunction with RCMP or other government departments.
Do you know how many days a year you spend off the base and in this plane flying on a mission?
No, not offhand, but I would say it's in the neighborhood of probably 100 days.
And what's the most recent mission you've been on?
I was fortunate enough to go to Japan. We just came back from a 3-week deployment in Japan, enforcing the UN moratorium on high seas drift netting.
And what did you find?
A lot of fishing boats. We didn't find any drift netters, so that would lead me to believe that the deterrent or the moratorium against these guys is actually working.
So that's good news.
Yes, yes.
All right, who's next to you?
This is my Navigator Communicator, Jason Coleman.
Jason,
Hi.
what are you doing?
As a Navigator Communicator, my job is specifically twofold. So there's the Navigator side, which is where I assist the pilots in making sure that the aircraft is safe and that we're going in the right direction. Of course, we rely on modern technology to assist us with that, such as GPS. So this system will help us to know the position where we are. And this system, for instance, here is the location of Comox, some hazards like Hornby Island that we have to watch out for, and Nanaimo. So it puts us in our area in space while we're on the aircraft. The second part is communicating. So when we go out on a mission, we'll communicate with a number of different individuals and organizations such as the Army with troops on the ground, or perhaps it's the Department of Fisheries or the RCMP. Also there's the Navy. We'll communicate with surface ships on the ground, or on the water rather, and then other aircraft in the air.
Is it safe to say that the pilots are so busy doing their jobs flying the plane that you're the guy who has to touch base with all the other parties you might be involved in?
That's right. The pilots are concerned mostly about safety and operating the aircraft. They're also tactically engaged, but back here is where I back them up with the safety of the aircraft and take care of the communications that are required for the tactical mission.
All right, and hand me off to the next guy.
Okay, so this is our ASOP, Franjo Gasparovic.
Hello, ASOP.
Hey, yeah, ASOP stands for Airborne Electronic Sensor Operator.
Do that one more time.
Airborne Electronic Sensors Operator.
Okay.
These are just 2 of the seats, usually between 4 or 5 ASOPs, sometimes even 6, depending on the type of mission. So these 2 seats here, they're dry sensor as opposed to wet, which you saw in the acoustic section back there with Sergeant Mcavoy.
Okay, so dry means that you look after things that are on
Just
land?
above water,
Above water.
as opposed to
Below water.
yes.
Okay.
So on the right station here is the radar. Pretty straightforward. He's the one that puts all the funny symbology and stuff on the TAC block for the TAC nav. From there, TAC nav will figure out what to do with it, right? In the middle, that's the electro-optics and infrared camera. There's 3 cameras if you see on the turret outside. You switch to them. Right now we're in the hangar, so everything's a little close and out of focus.
What's that though? That doesn't look like a regular picture. No, that's...
This is the infrared, sorry, yeah. There's a couple of guys working on an aircraft over there.
And what might you see on that infrared camera in a regular mission?
Well, a lot of times we do just routine patrols for Fisheries Canada and stuff like that. So a lot of time we look at ships, merchant ships out there, making sure people aren't smuggling or dumping, polluting, like that. So.
All right.
Yeah.
And what happens in that seat?
Left seat over there, that's kind of a special mission. Those are electronic support measures. It receives other people's radars and stuff like that. We can tell where they are, who they are, what type of radar they're operating, whether it's like a surface search or a navigation, something easy like that. He also operates the magnetic anomaly detector, which I'm not set up right now, actually. That's for detecting subsurface contacts like submarines. So,
All right.
yeah.
So, a lot of talk about submarines. Have you ever been on a flight that's detected a submarine?
Just on exercise so far. So.
Just on exercise.
Yeah.
And take us on up to the front, if
Right
you
on.
will, to the cockpit.
Up
Going
front,
up to find out who's piloting this plane.
up front we have our pilot, Captain Alex Gignac.
Thank you so much. Hello, Captain. How are you?
G'day, how's it going?
This actually is the best view in the whole plane.
I would definitely agree. We get a nice blue sky, whereas everyone else works in the darkness, as it were.
All right. Tell us what your job is specifically up here.
Oh, primarily the pilot's job up front is to ensure the safety of the crew on board. And the secondary task is to position the aircraft in a way that we can optimize sensors, or, as the primary purpose of the aircraft used to be, would be to position the aircraft for an attack on a submarine. We don't do that as much anymore, though, so primarily it's safety.
I heard a lot of talk about submarines back there and detecting submarines. Isn't that more of a Cold War issue?
I wouldn't say so. It's always something the Air Force is ready for. It was a lot more predominant during the Cold War era, but it's still a threat that's credible, and so we're always prepared to meet the task.
What are your other missions?
We do a lot of sovereignty missions in the Arctic. We do a lot of surveillance in the maritime passages. We do a lot of counter-drug operations as well in the Caribbean.
Tell us about counter-drug operations in the Caribbean, because I'm not sure that many Canadians know you play a role in that.
Well, we operate out of several bases. Most notably, recently I was in Curacao, and we basically scan parts of the ocean, looking for small go-fast boats and drug runners coming from South America into the Caribbean or the United States.
So you would spend your nights out flying and just conducting surveillance, because basically that's what this aircraft does.
This aircraft is predominantly a surveillance platform. So yeah, we would Xerox big parts of the ocean looking for these ships and boats at low altitude at night.
How low?
We can go as low as 100 feet during the daytime.
All right. Tell me, all the information that's being gathered back there, we heard about that, and the communication, how do they get that information up to you?
A lot of it is verbal. A lot of it is simply communication between the back and the front of the aircraft through the intercom system. The rest of it is all through this little monitor here. The TAC nav, which is essentially the quarterback of the aircraft, passes as much information as he can to the front of the aircraft, so the aircraft's captain can then inform himself appropriately on how to maneuver the aircraft to meet the task.
All right. Captain, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.